Okay, if you just want to press your blue button, that's fine. So what happens with if you don't want to talk to them, or if you can't get hold of them, use your voice, send a voice message. And we're actually finding there's more and more people sort of in their teens and 20s tend to want to communicate. They send to each other voice texts more than the written text. So it's just listening to what someone gives you, okay? And then when you communicate with auditory preferences, clients or colleagues, it's best to talk with them so they can hear words and instructions clearly. Kinesthetic, how someone learns by touching and doing. People with high kinesthetic preferences learn by doing. When you communicate with kinesthetic preferences, clients or colleagues, it's best to give handouts and books so they can hold and write in and get them doing activities, and because they learn with body movements. I cannot learn to work a machine. Say, for example, I get a new photocopier, a new printer, a new washing machine. You know how those people can read the instructions and they just go and do it? That's visual. I've got to pull the drawer, close the door, pull this, pull that, to know. Leah's laughing because I know, Leah, you've got a high kinesthetic preference. So I've actually got to be hands-on, or I don't know how to work it. I don't know how to do it unless I've actually gone through it. So if you're training, or if you're doing a presentation, making sure you've got a mixture of all three really helps connect with every single person. So in the 1970s, Dr. Richard Bandler, who's the co-creator of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, was the first person to notice that when people were talking, there was a pattern to the way their eyes moved. By observing the way someone's eyes move, we can get an indication of what dominant sense they're using. My advice for using eye access cues in business is become curious and start noticing the different eye movements and listen for the words being used. Please, if you're not used to this, please don't do that when you're talking to someone. It's the weirdest thing to do, and it can make someone feel really uncomfortable. The best place to practice noticing eye access cues is go onto YouTube and look for the unscripted interviews, especially with politicians. It's quite interesting. You almost, when you get good at using this, you can almost tell the interviews that they knew what questions were coming, because there's no searching going on. But if you watch unscripted interviews, you'll see eyes going up, you'll see eyes go down, you'll see eyes go to the side. So this is what Richard Bandler noticed, and he was the first person to actually see this. So we have our eye access cues. Now, this is what we teach in the Neuro-Linguistic Programming Coach program that includes the business practitioner. However, I'll just say before I show this, I work with visual, auditory, and feelings, which we know as feelings. Keep it really simple. You don't have to break all this down into these components, but I just wanted to show you what we do. Now, this is when you're looking at someone who is right-handed, most right-handed people, and this is the direction you'll see their eyes going in. So the visual construct is their eyes are going up to their right. Can you see how you're seeing that from the left-hand side? But it's their right. The visual recall is to their left. The auditory construct is to their right. The auditory recall is to their left. Feelings is to their right, looking down to their right. And then the self-talk, what known as auditory digital, is to their left. Now, where you can use this beautifully in business and coaching is if you ask someone a question, they do this. You've got quite a good chance of being correct if you say to them, so what are you saying to yourself? What are you telling yourself? Just by looking at that, the way the eyes are going. And a lot of times when you say that, and people don't know about this, they'll start telling you what they're actually saying to themselves. Because when we're looking down to our left, we're talking to ourselves. Now, can we please debunk the stuff that's out there, that if you're looking up to the right, you're lying? That is not true. There's this whole thing that, you know, you'll see lots of videos on YouTube. Yes, you can tell when someone's lying, they're looking up to the right. No. I want you to imagine creating your best office in the world, your best working place in the world. Okay, just imagine creating your, now look where the eyes are all going. Think about what you're creating your best place. So even to create something, and this is what I've noticed, you've got to remember something. You can't create things out of fresh air. So you might be remembering seeing something in a magazine, or you might remember how something made you feel, or you might, so it's understanding that our eyes are moving around. And this is called the transderivational search, when the eyes are moving around. I want you to imagine I've got a mouse, I use a trackpad, but I want you to imagine I've got a computer mouse here. What does a computer mouse move? When you're moving a computer mouse, what's it moving? Angela, if you want to come on to a microphone, what's it moving?
My mic.
Oh, it's moving. So it's moving.
If
I'm moving it's moving a cursor. So what's the cursor doing? What's the cursor doing? What are you doing when you're moving a cursor around a computer screen? It is. You're searching.
Trying to find the information, searching.
You're searching, okay? What happens when you find the file you're looking for and you click?
It opens a new page. Yeah.
Your eyes are your cursors, okay? So where this is huge in business and coaching, when you ask someone a question, and especially if you've asked a really cool question, a question they've got to think about answering. You know, we can ask questions and someone just goes, yes, no, or someone goes, yeah, you know, they're not thinking about it. But when you're asking the real cool thinking questions that we use in coaching, you'll see this. And then someone will answer. Please, please, please never speak while someone's eyes are moving about their head like that, because they're searching for information and you're going to get a really fabulous answer. If you break that train of thought, you're going to get, they'll just come up with something to keep you happy a lot of times. Who's had that? When you're really thinking about something, someone interrupts you and all of a sudden you've lost what you were thinking about. How does it make you feel? It doesn't make you feel very valued, and it doesn't make you feel very listened to. So making a point of, if the eyes are moving, and that's what we call in NLP, we call it the transderivational search. So visual eye access cues, when someone is looking up, and as I said, keep it really simple. If you're not used to using this, just start looking to see who's talking to you. In fact, before we do this, let's just do a wee experiment here. Who would like to tell me, who'd like to describe the last holiday they were on? Who would like to come onto their microphone and describe the last holiday they were on? You all gone shy. I know you're not shy. Who wants that? Okay, Praveen, thank you. Let me just spotlight Praveen for this one. Okay, and I'll spotlight myself. So just describe the last holiday.
So the last holiday that I had was in South Africa. And it was a brilliant place. It was a one-off chance for me to go there and really experience the culture of South Africa. I was there for 2 weeks. It was the way it happened.
What were the things you were seeing that were different in South Africa? See where his eyes are going. His eyes are going up.
Clearly see the fact that the people, well, there's a lot of wrong things we've heard about South Africa. You know, don't step out onto the road and you can get into trouble and everything else. But the fact that one thing that I really clearly noticed was that the respect people have for each other when they're driving, and they were a very nice way of indicating when somebody wants to overtake them, and once somebody's overtaken them, how they indicate through their parking lights that, hey, to say, hey, thank you, you let me overtake you.
Okay.
And it's a very unique thing about South Africa, and I noticed that was really very, very
They're all very polite. Where do you live, Praveen?
I live in Bangalore. now.
I know Bangalore, I know the traffic in Bangalore, and
Yep.
it's completely different. Yeah,
Mental.
absolutely crazy. So what Praveen was doing there, his eyes were going up quite a lot, but can you see they were also going down when he was talking about, you know, feelings a little bit, and they were going side to side. So I actually guided Praveen by saying, describe, you know, what you're actually seeing that was differently, and his eyes immediately went straight up. So thank you for that, Praveen. Let me just remove the spotlight. Okay. Thank you. So when people are going into visual mode, they're looking up and they're seeing the situation. Now, when we're talking about communicating in this way, match with visual words. For example, what do you see as the best option? How clear is that for you? Imagine this being finished and show me what you mean. So these are examples of visual. When someone is auditory, eye access cues. When someone is looking from side to side, they're in auditory mode and hearing the situation. Now, auditory mode, a high auditory preference is really, really interesting. I'm married to one. Okay. So what happens is, I will ask my husband a question, and he'll do this. He's hearing the question, and then he's hearing the answer, and he's decided, no, that's not what I mean. Then he might talk to himself, like, no, that's all right, and then he'll do something else. Meanwhile, I've given up the will to live and think he's not talking to me, and he's not answering. Luckily, I learned this very, very early on in our relationship. And then just when you've given up that you're never going to answer, a very considered answer comes out. So this is huge when you're coaching people or when you're having one-to-ones in business with people. The high auditory, you need to give them time because they're listening. They're listening for answers. If they don't like the sound of their answer, they will bring up another answer, and they still have them to listen to it before they can open their mouth. One of the things a lot of business professionals get nervous with, especially leaders, is they get nervous with silence. They get nervous with asking a question and then waiting for someone to answer. It's very quiet in your world if you're sitting there waiting for someone to answer. But if you've asked someone a really powerful question, it's not quiet in their world. They're busy. They're doing a lot of work. They're doing a lot of searching to give you the answer that's not. And also, when people are doing this, it's not giving you the answer you want. It's giving you the answer that they're really thinking about and they've really searched for it. So you match with auditory words. For example, which solution sounds right for you? Let's discuss this in more detail. Tell me more. That's beautiful. If you see someone in high auditory mode, tell me more about that. Let's have a chat about what we can do next. Now, when you match this is unconscious communication. People normally, unless they're trained, don't go, oh, she's matching my words. They don't even think about that. But people just know for some reason you get them, and it's actually talking different languages. And then when someone's looking down there in feeling mode and feeling the situation, use feeling words, for example, and we call kinesthetic, in NLP, we talk about kinesthetic. Kinesthetic refers to the feelings and the touch, but feelings are inside. Feelings are something that happen. So when you've taken, that's internal, and it's also for touch. So it's things like, what feels like the best option for you? Are you comfortable with the situation? What is your gut instinct about this? Could this make you feel easier? Also things that, have you got a handle on that? Have you got a grasp of that? Hold on to that thought. See how that's all about touch. So bringing in words with touch. And what you're doing there is, you're really working with the unconscious level to let people understand that they don't know you're doing this consciously, but they just know you get them. So the VAK communication model is listen for the type of words someone is using, more of visual, auditory, kinesthetic. When you match these words back, you create good rapport. Visual, I see what you mean. I get the picture. What's your view? Is this clear now? Engage by using diagrams, charts, and pictures. Auditory, that rings a bell. I hear what you're saying. That sounds okay. Tell me more. Engage by telling stories and stressing keywords and anecdotes. Kinesthetic, that feels right. Do you grasp that? Are you happy with that? what is your gut feeling, and engaged by using hands-on tasks and physical activities. So the representational language we use says a lot about what's happening in our minds, and the NLP co-creators initially discovered representational systems by listening to the words people used. When we construct our mental images, mental maps through representational systems in NLP, these are our 5 sense words. So it's just by matching these senses. So in business, it's really listening to what people are saying and watching their eyes moving. But I would like you to have 10 minutes. Let me have a wee look here. I'm just going to put some breakout rooms up. Let me see. We'll put 3 breakout rooms. Let me, in fact, Praveen, yes?
Can I add a quick question?
Yeah.
I did come across a very specific term called BMIR, B-M-I-R, a behavioral representation of an internal behavioral manifestation of an internal representation. What does it really mean?
I've never heard that. I've never heard that particular phrase before.
It comes from the concept of VAK communication, but the manifestation in terms of what you're bringing out as a response is from the VAK that you're kind of making, in your head, the internal representation. I believe that's what it means, but I read about it very recently.
Send me that, because I'd like to find out more about that. Just send me a wee email about that, because that's something I haven't heard of that. And so very often this gets, it gets broken down, this particular subject, in different ways. But what you're looking at, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to actually just get to see eyes moving. So I'm going to open all the rooms, and it's 3 or 4 rooms, 4 rooms. It's we're just going in for 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. Ask one person, two or 3 people, you can ask one person a question, but see if you can guide to visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, and see what happens with the eyes move. Okay, so just go and have fun with that. Okay, welcome back. That's recording back again. So who'd like to share, just from a couple of people, what did you get from that?
Basically, from a conversation there, that you're not doing anything wrong, you're just following what your client is doing.
Yes. And I'll just clarify that with Jane, that she was going up to her right, it was your right. She was going up to construct, and someone had actually mentioned to her that you're doing it wrong. No, on an NLP training, no one's doing eye access cues wrong. You're doing the eye access cues right that work for you, and the job of a professional, and remember, this isn't necessarily a business, this isn't an NLP training that we're doing in here. We're just looking at how we can use these NLP skills for business. Just watching, take your cue from what someone's doing. So if we keep it really, really simple, if you're giving a presentation, make sure you've got a visual element, make sure you have slides, make sure you've got things for people to look at. Include some sort of discussion, get people asking questions and talking back to you, and include something that we just did there. We did a kinesthetic element there, where we put you in breakout rooms to go and try it. Go and work with each other and actually try. So bring all 3 in. And then what you can do as well is make sure you add facts and figures. You can take a wee note of that, because we have unspecified words. And these are the words that live in business. They're words like direct, discussed, direct, leads, action, plan, meetings. They don't fit with senses, do they? So if you put in some facts and figures, some numbers and some statistics, you'll get everyone. You'll get all the different representational systems in your group. Thank you, Jane. Anything else? Who else would like to share something from what they got today?
Fiona, one thing that I clearly noticed is when I was working with Vladimira, is that no one is really truly biased in terms of their representational system. And I could see you could see the search really happening in terms of being able to wanting to listen to what your thoughts are telling you, wanting to, your internal dialogue in terms of what you've probably processed earlier, and then obviously trying to remember and then construct that, mechanism within your system, seeing the picture. And I could see that very clearly.
Yes,
all this
you can all the different senses. Yeah.
All this while, I think my learning came from the fact that when I look for access cues, we end up getting, you start prejudging, and then when you see one access cue, you tend to believe that that's the only access cue you're going to see for the rest of the conversation, and that's not true. That's my biggest learning today.
Okay, but also in a business scenario, if you've asked someone a question, someone's doing that all the time, you say to them, so how do you feel about that? Are you comfortable? You're speaking a different language. and then people wonder why they don't go on with people in business. Or if someone's doing lots of this, I teach lots of HR professionals. And if someone is there for an interview and you're talking to someone in an interview and that you ask them a question, they do that. Well, I did, and I will then put it out to a business group and I'll say, what's your assumption that person? Well, they're nervous, they're shy, they're hiding stuff. I mean, it's incredible what's coming up in people's minds about what they're doing. Then I'll say, well, actually, they're in their feelings. And it opens up a whole different way of communicating and talking. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. If you'd like to book a complimentary half-hour consultation with me, it's a half-hour discovery session to discuss whether you either want to go further with your NLP training or you'd be interested in taking a coaching package with me. Just contact me at fiona@theprofessionalgrowthcompany.com. We also have two memberships. We have got the Professional Growth Club, and you can actually check that out on your phone just now, www.professionalgrowth.club. $9 a month or 12 months for you pay for 9 months and you get 12 months. That's a club where it's all self-learning and you get access to my leader system, which is 6 courses covering things like communication, emotional intelligence, building rapport. So it's that, plus there's 1 course goes up every month. Just to I know we've got some members here, just to let you know, I'm running a little bit late with my the January course, the July course that's coming up, but the course that's about to be up by next week is the art of time management. You're managing your time well. So that every month there's a new course comes up, stays for 30 days, then disappears, and then another new course comes up. Those of you who are interested in your ongoing professional development, when you complete each course, there is a quiz element. You've got to get a 75%, I think it's a 70% pass. And once everything is completed, you then automatically get a certificate of completion. So it's a very good way for building up your certificates. If you're NLP trained and you're looking to develop your NLP skills for business and coaching, it's www.nlpbusinesscircle.com/NLP Business Circle Club. You'll also find it if you go on to nlpbusinesscircle.com and just look for the courses in there, you'll find the club. At the moment, we've got a 50% discount. Members get 2, I know we've got some members of that club here also. You get 2 2-hour live masterclasses like this. This is only 45 minutes, but twice a month, we're on for 2 hours. And in these masterclasses, we do breakout rooms. People sometimes get 40 minutes to really play with what they're learning. But for me, the value of this is you get access to every recording, both video and audio, and every workbook for every masterclass back to December 2020. So there's over 60 masterclasses, and there's lists that you can look at in the club, so you can just check and you can have you access it all on your phone through the Kajabi app. Okay, so I will send you a recording, though it won't be a full recording of this today. My apologies, I didn't put on the recording right at the beginning, but I know we covered enough to make sure that people who didn't attend will be able to catch up. Next week, we'll be working, I'll send you the details of what we're covering for next week's club. Let people in business know about this. This is not specifically for NLP. This is an opportunity for you to get business people you know onto this free network to start to learn the benefits, hopefully to help you just move your, let's get this circle of what we know out to more and more business people. Okay. This is really to promote NLP in business. And I know most people who are here today have all been NLP trained. Let's get this out to the people that are not NLP trained, so we can start letting people know. And it's free. And I'll be running this all summer. And we're looking at I'm actually picking a lot of the techniques that I find work very, very well when you teach them independently to people in business without them having to go through a full NLP training.